I'm so sorry that I am 7 minutes late. My dad actually died, and I had to wait for the coroners to come get the body. I'm not able to have the death certificate yet, but they did let me take a picture of my father's dead body, and I can shoot that to you.
Paulina, it's okay. Why would you show that to me? Your dad just died. You should go home. Are you okay? Like, we care more about you than the work that you're doing. Like, you're a person with, like, a life.
You don't want the picture?
No. Go home. And I'll make sure to cover this with sick pay.
You care about me as a... Are you guys firing me? Hey, I saw that there were snacks. I was just wondering where I can pay for them.
Pay for them? No, we bought them for you guys. They're all free.
Are you gonna take this out of my paycheck?
What? No, we have a budget for this. We want to make it a comfortable environment for you. Actually, what snacks do you want? So we can make sure to get them next time.
Comfortable environment? What the fuck? Hi, I'm here for my performance review. I took exact notes of every single thing I did down to the millisecond for the last week. So I know that we're gonna go over it and...
Why would I micromanage you like that? I hired you because I think you're smart. I trust myself and I trust you to do your job.
What? You trust me to do my job?
Yeah, why would I hire you if I didn't believe that? That's weird. Hey, Paulina, good morning. Do you need help carrying that?
My office was just really hot, so I bought a fan. Sorry.
Wow, I am so sorry about that. Go ahead and grab the receipt from when you purchased it. Give it to HR and we'll make sure that we reimburse you for that.
Would that come out of my paycheck?
You're so funny. Absolutely not. Duh. You're so silly. Wow, I love your jokes.
Okay. Alright. Is this like a drug thing? Like, if it's a drug thing, just tell me. I won't say anything. Is this like a front for like the mafia or something? Just, if it is, I'm okay with that. I would just like to know.
Young girls starving themselves these days. I don't know, maybe because you all harass and bully the fuck out of plus size.
This has always been a huge part of what is conspicuously missing from like eating disorder advocacy, and I think it's way past time we talked about it. The stereotypical media image of a young girl struggling with an eating disorder is her looking in the mirror and seeing her body as bigger than it really is, as fat. She's afraid of being fat. So people are very concerned about what this makes her do and what she does to, combat this supposed body she thinks she has. But nobody is asking, why is she so scared of being fat? Is there a logical reason? No, they just talk it up to mental illness, basically. The problem the girl with the eating disorder is then labeled as having is that she thinks she's fat when actually she's not. And if she could just realize she wasn't, it would be okay. If she just realized she's okay as she is because actually she's not fat, right? But when we live in a society where being fat is the worst thing you can be, where fat people get treated like crap, get denied jobs, get like barely any clothes made for them, are constantly labeled as like undesirable, disgusting, unhealthy, sloppy, lazy, etc. All of these horrible things, like the most horrible things a person can be, basically. And you expect young girls to not fear becoming that when we know bodies can change. That's crazy, because we all do know that bodies can change. Bodies do change. Inherently, as a human being, your body is going to change throughout your life. Even if your weight doesn't change drastically, like obviously you're going to get bigger as you get older. When you're a kid, you're going to look different than you did when you're a teenager, than you did when you're an adult. You're going to get old. Bodies change. And I think that makes a lot of us really, really insecure. And when we know that bodies do change in these ways, we know that like we could also become fat. And that is what causes a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear when being fat is then labeled as the worst thing you can be. So to tell people that like they're crazy because they are afraid of being fat and they need to just like let it go because actually they're skinny and it's fine, you sound insane. Because no, we can't just let it go when being fat is the worst thing you can be that determines your entire future. Everybody is telling you that. And then you go ahead and say, oh, well, we don't understand why people are so afraid of being fat, why they have these eating disorders. Hello? The call's coming from inside the house. When being thin represents being good and being fat represents being bad, people are gonna wanna be good. People want to be thin because they're fucking smart. People want to be thin because they exist in this world and they have social intelligence and they see every day that being fat comes with horrible, horrible treatment. Of course they want to be thin. And of course that easily gets taken too far when we moralize about thinness and make it basically the only thing that matters about a person.
Reviewing the 2024 Biden-Harris campaign Pride collection, or what I guess would better be described as the Kamala Harris pantsuit collection. I can't imagine that prior to this, anyone really would have considered themselves to be in the market for a mug featuring the bisexual flag reimagined as our current vice president's business formal wear collection, but if you were, then today is your lucky day. And not to worry, Kamala's pantsuits are representing the entire community, including the trans flag. I want to hate it, but at the same time, I do think this should replace the official flag of the United States of America. 8 out of 5 stars. Then we have this Out for Biden-Harris t-shirt with the out kind of ominously underlined and the 4 dramatically circled, conveying some kind of meaning, which is a mystery to me. Out of what? Where are we going? And why am I doing it specifically for them? Also, if you saw this shirt from a distance, it would just say Out Biden-Harris, which would bring on a whole new layer of meaning. 5 out of 5 stars. Rainbow Joe is a thing that not one person has ever said. This is the kind of t-shirt that's worn to Pride Fest, either by people holding a clipboard or being financially compensated to be there. Here we have even more Kamala Harris Pride merch in case you just couldn't get enough. She always kind of carries with her the energy of that one straight coworker that gets suspiciously excited for the company Pride March every year. 6 out of 5 stars. I'm sure there was some heavily researched focus group that told the Biden campaign that aviator sunglasses would make Joe Biden look cool again, but nonetheless, the silhouette of them just looks like a bra. Yeah, this rainbow bag full of aviator sunglasses, it's just given titties on titties. 6 out of 5 stars. And this dark Brandon thing actually makes me want to rip my eyeballs out of my head, like I've seen enough. But also, if Joe Biden did shoot gay space lasers out of his eyes, then I would commit voter fraud for him. So 4 out of 5 stars.
President business stole the Craggle, the most powerful object in the universe. Blah, blah, blah. Proper name, place name, backstory stuff.
How are you going to feel when he sees you without any makeup?
I'm not wearing makeup right now.
Holy crap, you're beautiful.
Top Israeli things that would send Americans into a coma. Number 1, entire bowls of hummus as a meal.
لا برو، هي الكلمة مش حمص.
لا أخي، خمس بالخير.
هم
اخترعوها هناك بإسرائيل.
بس مش على أساس هي من دول عربية مثلا مثل لبنان، فلسطين، سوريا.
لك لا، نحن فلسطين، لبنان، سوريا من شي 50 سنة جينا من أوروبا.
طبعا الحي مش هي الحيل.
لا ما في حاء بالخاء، هي هيك بالأساس. خوموس. هي هيك مدن لقدام لشفافك. خوموس هيك. ايه
خوموس،
هذا هيك. that's how you say it.
اوكي.
اخترعوا الخوموس من شي 3000 سنة. لإلهم، احنا سرقناها، بهدلنا حالنا. عيب علينا.
Where are all the women who lost their male partners to red pill content? Because I want to know what happened.
Yeah, I'm right here. I lost one of the loves of my life. One of my best friends, had known him over 20 years since before we were born, to red pill content, and I want to talk about it today. I do think it's important to educate people and keep them aware of this. It was like a 5-10 year long process to strap in, and I think one of the hardest parts wasn't accepting losing him, but having to accept that, like, this person, these ideologies were inside him the whole time. So his name was Jared. We grew up on streets near each other, and our families knew each other before we were born because we were all homeschooled. So obviously when we were little, I had a big old crush on him because he was the only boy my age I had ever spoken to, but he had no interest in me because he was a little kid. So for a lot of the middle years, he goes back into school. We don't talk. He's in the grade above me. But once we get into high school, we actually reconnect somehow, and I forget how, but I'm a total nerd in high school, and he is like a hockey jock. But he was always a really sweet kid. So for a while, I believed him when he swore his hockey friends must have stolen his phone in the locker room and sent this message to me on Snapchat that said, "Why don't you make yourself useful and send over a pic?" And when I was like, this is really random, like, this doesn't seem like even your verbiage, what's going on, dude? They blocked me on everything on his phone. So we didn't talk for several years after that, and I found it a little bit weird that, like, dude, we were talking every single day, and you didn't even think to look me up and notice I wasn't even in your phone anymore? But anyways, he gets dumped by a girl who absolutely shatters his heart on college, and we actually reconnect because we match on Tinder. And at this point, he is emo, right? He has all the bracelets, he listens to heavy metal, he is very atheist, he has a lot of Satan stars and whatnot. He is the furthest point in the universe from the typical red pill boy. So when he's back in town, we actually go on some dates and he gets really sick. So I bring him over some soup and like some cookies that my grandma, who I was living with at the time, homemade. And we have some really cute, like cuddling, watching TV, nothing else sort of dates. And it was just like old times. And then after that, he actually kind of rejects me by ghosting me a little bit, but he wants to remain friends. And I'm fine with that because we were friends our whole life. And the more I get to know about him in that point, the more I realize it's probably for the best because he's in a lot of therapy at that point, which is very important because he has such bad anxiety and depression and things like that he can't even leave his home to go out in public. And also, he's still obsessed with this girl who has blocked him on everything and he won't tell me why. But one day he says he found her address and he wants to write her a letter because he thinks it'll be super duper romantic and win her back. He had this tendency to do that, right? Like romanticize all of his actions when from the outside, like this girl has blocked you on everything. She has told you not to contact her and now you're tracking down her address. And I tried to explain to him that that's kind of terrifying behavior, but I don't think he listened to me. I do think he sent the letter and I don't think anything ever came of it. But at this point, he decides he needs to completely change his life. I think his therapist suggested getting into working out, which is the beginning of the slippery slope. So again, he's still in college, living mostly in his parents' basement. He's spending thousands of dollars now on gym equipment and getting really into working out. And watching like male motivational videos, to which I believe around this time too, he decides that he doesn't need to go to therapy anymore. And I was like, no, you still can't really leave your home, dude, and you have a lot of issues. Like you definitely are not done with that. But again, he thinks that after like a short period of time, he's just completed therapy. And around this time, a couple of his friends ask how we reconnected too, because it's a question to ask. And I jokingly am like, well, we went on a couple dates and Jared rejected me, and he insists that never happened. Like he refuses to, like he denies it to his core that he ever rejected me. I was like, it's fine, it's funny, and I'm fine with it. But anyways, we're seeing other people, we're just friends. And around this time is when I met Basement Eric, the one who SA'd me and tried to kidnap me and keep me locked in his basement, right? So that causes a lot of damage. And my brain doesn't trust me to be around boys anymore. So eventually I have to explain to Jared like why I'm always sitting on the opposite side of the room or not really seeing him anymore. And he decides again in his brain, which he has made himself out to be a good person in the scenario and coming from a good place, that he can fix me actually. Because you just didn't get hugged enough as a child and you aren't shown the proper amount of affection. So he starts forcing me to like cuddle with him and hug him even when I tell him no and to stop. And from all the working out, he's becoming a very large man that I can't fight anymore, and so it's starting to get scary when he doesn't listen to me. And he also starts making this frequent joke that we need to go out on like formal friend dates because like I just deserve to be loved and shown love. Which again, I believe came from a good place, but I was like, no, like I've been on real dates. Like I've been on fine dates, it's fine. I've been on a good date before. Like I love you, dude, but you also still refuse to leave your home to go to most places, so it wouldn't work out anyways. So because his behavior towards me is actually making my issues worse at the time, I'm in a lot of intensive therapy myself for this. I have to distance myself or make sure that his other friends are around whenever we're hanging out because he doesn't do any of this stuff in front of his other friends. And an interesting note is now that he's moved home after college, instead of hanging out with his more left friends from college, he's just hanging out with his high school friends that all are on the right. And that starts to really speed up his change in behavior. And around this time, we're both dating and seeing other people, and he never really likes any of my partners, which is fair. I had a lot of duds. But the difference is every time I had a boyfriend, I really wanted to connect him with Jared. Like, I wanted them to be friends, because isn't that the goal? He finds a partner, I find a partner, you and your best friend, like, we all live happily ever after together. But no, because whenever he got a girlfriend, I was never allowed to meet her, no matter how many times I begged and asked. And also, every time he got a girlfriend, of course, she was blonde, my height, and he kind of stopped talking to me when he was dating them. Or at least he stopped forcing me to cuddle him all the time, which was a win for me. Also, the cuddling stuff started again shortly after I started hanging out with him more, but I was able to deal with it then because time had passed. He'd also slowly started using like alpha male, beta male lingo. Like, he's hanging out with his gym friends 24/7. They have daily fitness, eating, you know, they have everything mapped out on an Excel spreadsheet. They're constantly on the grind. He's he's leaning into alpha, beta, all that terminology. I'm starting to get increasingly worried. And then he gets a new girlfriend. And this girlfriend is super religious, super conservative, right? And all of a sudden, out of the blue, Jared suddenly is talking about being religious and going to church. And he's going and playing tennis and doing all these things that I've never heard of him doing before. And he's starting to say some of the concerning things he would just let slip when he was one-on-one with me out loud now. I remember our very last FaceTime. He FaceTimed me after he was playing tennis with his girlfriend. I was talking about a date I had gone on, but we didn't really click, and he starts going like, you need a beta male, because you have like an alpha energy. See, I'm an alpha male, so I need like a beta housewife. It's like, I'm just stunned by everything that's coming out of his mouth all of a sudden. And then at some point, I kind of must have made the comment that I was like a little bit concerned about all the conservatives and the things he's been hanging around for him to say this. And he utters the phrase, well, technically, like, voting conservative is the most alpha male thing you can do, right? Because, like, you're voting to suppress minorities and women. You're maintaining your seat at the top. And in that singular moment, all hope in my body left, and I disconnected from the conversation entirely. Did not try to continue to engage. I just made a natural exit. Because also, sir, you are the furthest thing from an alpha male I've ever met. Like, you can barely leave the house, and now this girl has entirely changed your personality. And two, you are Asian. Now, you are half Asian, but if a white right male looked at you, he would say you are Asian. You are the minority that you are saying you're voting to suppress, sir. But I just let it go. I didn't say any of that because I knew in that moment he was too far gone. After that, I no longer took any of his texts and phone calls, and I finally reached out to one of his other girl friends to ask if he had ever done any of this to her, because he always insisted to me, like, cuddling and whatnot is just what friends do. Like, it's totally normal. She said that was weird. She said that she had never seen him act that way to her before. Like, I don't know why, but he was only doing this stuff to me. After I got that confirmation, I sat down and I wrote a thick Google Doc text to send to him, to be very clear as to why I am cutting communication with him. I am terrified of him. I am terrified of his behavior, the man he has grown into. I am disappointed. I lost my best friend, and he's become this person I don't even recognize or feel safe around anymore. I have to just accept that that boy that I shared so much of my life with, that I loved, is completely gone. I'm never gonna get him back, and I think about him all the time, and I feel like a part of me is just gone. And I'm so sorry that I can't let you back. But if you see this, I love you, and I really hope that you get better. I apologize that I couldn't really finish the story, but luckily that's pretty much the end of it, and you guys finally found out, like, the one thing I can't talk about very easily. But also, look, I bought new plants, so yay, new plants, replace men with plants.